the Ministry of Water, Sanitation and Irrigation, CS Alice Wahome. We go on. Please remember to register for the Standard Chartered Nairobi Marathon. It takes place on the 29th of October. NairobiMarathon.com. 2,000 shillings is what you need. Waziri, let's talk about this big plan. The president has talked about it more than once. 100 mega dams. And what is new about it is public-private partnership.
Yes. Now,
this is big because what we are saying is what we've seen PPPs. We've seen the expressways PPP. We've seen IPPs that are PPP. Now, water dam, that is PPP. Explain.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Latif. You earlier on asked me whether we need a lot of infrastructure for water. The expense involved is huge, I said that. And therefore, we have where we are, because we are about 10, 15 years behind in terms of access to water. We require heavy investment. And for us to move quickly, we have realized that bulk water development is the answer, meaning storage through the 100 dams. The 100 dams is not like it's only 100. That's what we want to start with. And we could even go to 200 because many countries have actually gone that route. For us, the difference is that for us to raise this money, we have decided that it must be now public-private partnership. We don't have the money where for you to catch up with the issues, the challenges that Ndu is talking about. If you take into account that to do one dam, you require between 10 and 20 billion, depending on the size. Some dams go up to 30 billion. For me to do 100 dams, then you can do a quick calculation, even take an average of 20 billion shillings.
You need the entire devolution budget.
Yes. The entire, maybe health budget, devolution and education put together. We don't have that. And therefore, why not interest the investors? Then they are willing. We have called out for expression of interest, which we put into the public through advertisement. And the response was fantastic, I would say so. The interest so far shown is huge. And between now, and we have opened those expression of interest bids. We have both international and local interested persons and contractors. Then from that, the contractors will work with the investors in terms of financial institutions. And we are expecting that by November, we will be able to get back the proposals. From 20th of August, this August, we will start now possibly, they will start developing the proposals because we have opened those expression of interest. We now want to release the request for the proposals to them after we are done with that scrutiny. That request to return back the proposals should not take more than 4 months because that's where they will pick the dams that they are interested in and then give us specific proposal for it, meaning the quotations,
So it's a technical and financial
It's a technical analysis, both technical, scientific, and financial analysis, also showing where they will maybe get funding from, And that then will tell us how many will be able to take up the constructions.
Okay, so then this number of 100, was it a proclamation before the understanding that there would be a certain number of investors who would come in? Because, 100 sounds nice, Waziri. But then now, based on what you're saying, maybe we're not so sure of how many people will come in and take them up. So would it have been better to go the other way?
The number of people, of companies that have expressed interest are many. And it's good. The report is good. For me, I would expect that unless one or two dams may not be as viable as it should be to attract maybe a private investor, because again there has to be return to investment, and this return is expected that they will operate and then transfer later between 20 and 30 years. After they have recovered their money. In my view, and this is the way we are seeing it as the ministry, we may have 1 or 2, 3 dams that may not be picked. by reason of their unviability. But
Yeah.
no, that's not the end of the work.
Yes.
Because the government has not stopped working on the dams.
The government
They
can
are-
still put up
it's
those
still
dams.
put up, yes, we still put up that using through different maybe finance model. This is a model we have chosen, but also between the GOK and partners, there are those where we go concessionary, because either way, for example, I must take water to Turkana,
Yes.
and some areas will not be able to return on the investment. So therefore, those are dams that we call social.
Yeah.
So if a few are not picked, and also it's not cast in stones.
You can change things
you can
around a little
change
bit.
things around a bit, because we also encouraging in different way of looking at viability of the dam, like ensuring that a dam, before we were doing domestic only, dam for domestic water. Now we want to also have the component of irrigation, so that it and also electricity generation, so
Yeah.
that the three then, domestic, electricity, and irrigation, can augment into the basket for viability.
Okay.
So
Also, unfortunately, every time we hear dam recently, then, we get a bit nervous, because scandals also touch on this dam issue. 2 days ago, we heard of another story where a dam was supposed to have been, put up in Marsabit.
2009.
In 2009,
but that's a dam.
14 years ago. There's no dam today. 2 billion shillings later. Some of the numbers that you're talking about now, how much is going to be needed. 2 billion shillings later, people have been paid, people went to court, their stories. But at the end of the day, the people of Marsabit, who had been told 1, 2, 3 things will happen, unfortunately didn't happen. So then it meets people with trepidation when we hear now dam. Is it another avenue for which now funds, doesn't matter where they come from, then can be diverted elsewhere? So that the fear in a lot of people's hearts is not really, will the dams come? It is the
It's
money that
another-
is being brought, will it be diverted elsewhere? You see, this is the question. What kind of guarantees
first
can
and
you give to
foremost,
people?
You see, this is private money investment. This is your money that you come and invest, and it is the dam that will pay you back, not the government
Yeah.
as such. You will be paid from
It
the
is the water
proceeds,
from the dam.
sale of water from the dam. Before, some of those cases is because the payment was direct from the exchequer.
Yes.
And therefore, there were loopholes of people coming with funny contractors who are given work. And we have a few of those cases of contractors who are not, who are either corrupt or who compromise
Or
with
whose
our
companies work for the
offices.
state today, Waziri? Whose companies are of individuals who work
companies-
for the state today?
There are all manner of reasons, and I had said internal, whatever, in-house compromises, but also failure to scrutinize the fidelities and the financial capacities of the companies, because you have to do due diligence. Are they able to deliver or they are not? So all those manner of things, like the dam you're talking about is Badassa. Badassa Dam, we are now re-evaluating it again. We are doing a new design, because the area that it was designed to follow, we have to change a bit, because it's at an area that may not accommodate the dam because of the geological factors. So we will have to change. And yes, it could be. It's it's actually the only dam that can give water to Marsabit, because the other small dam we have there is called Bakuli. It can only give Marsabit town, and not just maybe the CBD of Marsabit town. That is complete. In fact, the president will be going there to release it to the public. But Badassa is the one you are referring to. So there will be those manenos will not be there, I can assure you, and I want to assure the public. Even the cost of dam is going to come down, because we have sat down and we have re-evaluated our financial analysis, show that we can build dams with less money. than it has been done before. And I'm saying that without any fear of contradiction, because you see the assessment, the cost assessment is of course informed both by the geological factors in the area, the topographies, but also the key factor is the volume of water and the wall, the bar, the dam itself.
The dam itself and how much water
the
it can
embankment,
hold.
the dam, how much water it will hold.
So that's
and
where-
that is per cubic meter of water.
Part of the issues then would come from that,
Yes.
where your engineers and your experts actually cost a dam, and then the private investor comes and agrees with that cost, and they roll out the project. So, for instance, and this is just an example, if your entities say a dam should cost X amount to build, 2 billion shillings to build a dam of
Yes.
this capacity,
Yes.
and the contractor comes and says, yes, we will do it with 2 billion shillings, if they've colluded, again, inside job, and actually this dam could cost 1.5 billion shillings, we will end up paying this private entity 2 billion shillings plus interest over the next 25 to 30 years.
Yeah.
So it will have been a criminal enterprise from the very beginning. How do we safeguard to make sure that what we are saying this is going to cost is actually what it should cost? We have an example of the expressway here. We don't know how much it was supposed to
Yes,
cost,
yes.
how much it ended up costing
Yeah,
us,
yes.
how much we're ending up to pay for the
yes.
expressway.
Yeah. First and foremost, I say there is the cost per cubic meter of water. The construction of the dam, the pricing is determined by the volume. That's the biggest component. Then there is the consultancy, because the consultancies are actually where the hidden costs that reap Kenyans are. That we have analyzed and we have seen we can do away with a whole 20% of the consultancies, preliminaries, all those stories that adding up don't give you an answer. So those we are clearing from this. The consultancy fee should be a figure that we shall agree by way of a percentage.
Okay.
But you're not going to tell me that consultancy and preliminary and ABCD will cost Kenyans 35% of the final cost of the dam. That I have told the engineers, I have told the consultants in my ministry, because we have a team that is helping me to come up with that. A team that is a little independent, because we have hired them on consultancy basis to work around those things. Because of course I recognize that internally we may have been part of the area pricings and costing. So I wanted to interrogate and see whether actually the cost is okay. And we are now in agreement without passing any blame as such, that now this is a new beginning.
Yeah.
This is people's investment, and you are not going to inflate it 3, 4, 5 times when I can do a dam with 10 billion shillings, then you tell me it will be done by 20 billion. I will not be part of that, I can tell you. And we have now an average. We will standardize and have an average of the price per cubic meter, save for agreeable variations.
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
And that is between 75 and 275. We know that between 75 shillings and 275.
275 shillings.
Yes.
Yeah.
Variation.
Variations. Yeah.
The thing about conversations like this, Waziri, is that Kenyans are listening and they don't forget a lot of the things that are being said here today. Whether we're talking about provision of water to your tap, whether it is a borehole that is sunk by government, etc. A few days ago, you signed a performance contract, the president, and you agreed to certain things being done. That in the next few years, you are bound with your signature for certain things to happen. Are we allowed to ask? I mean, we saw it. We saw what it was. But what are your signed,
KPIs?
What is it that you signed and said that you were going to make sure you did? If I don't do, let Alice Wahome go home.
I don't think everybody has to sign up. First and foremost, the area behavior of that, it is permanent and pensionable. It's no longer permanent and pensionable. And I think the office of the minister is for a term,
Yep.
is for a period.
Yeah.
The nature of that then requires that you commit yourself to certain things. And those certain things is provision of water, both water, sanitation, and irrigation. The contract is elaborate. Of course, it will not tell you that you'll go home,
No, of course,
but it means, obviously, if you don't deliver as expected,
It's performance based.
it is performance based.
So it says you will go
you
home.
may have to go home. Yes, you may have to go home. So we have committed to deliver on our work, and there are acceptable reasons that may arise and not allow you to perform to the expected. But then it's also partly your responsibility to ensure also resource mobilization is done so that you can achieve. The 100 dams, for example, we have released 35 for the first beginning. We expected that by January, we will have launched several of those dams.
35.
January, February, yes. Because looking at the period, we have given ourselves maximum by June that we will have done. And the president is following closely on this particular 33, the first lot of the 33. Obviously, if we cannot take off, we have a responsibility and a duty to go and explain why this is not taking off, or why 10, not 33. The rest is about irrigation. We plan between now and 5 years, 700,000 acres. And this is commercial irrigation. Galana-Kulalu is one of the case studies that we have now, and we believe we are giving away 10 to 20,000. Initially, we are giving 10,000 because it has water to irrigate, and we already have a contractor, an investor on site doing the irrigation. The first 500 acres is having maize as a pilot, farm. But we have given him we'll give him total 20,000 acres to start farming on that particular scheme. We will also provide water for the extra about 300,000 acres in Garada. We are going to run that. I have a whole list.
You have things to do.
We have things to do in this particular contract.
Okay.
So, and we'll also be doing small dams. Where we are looking forward to completing the 33, the 100, we also have to do 4,000 smaller dams.
So let's do our own accountability and social contract here with the people. These 33 dams,
Yes.
you say that by quarter one of 2024, quarter one of calendar year, not academic year, quarter one of the calendar year 2024, you should be seeing the contractors already signing contracts and getting onto the ground. How long should it take them to actualize these dams to finish?
About 36 months. Between 24 and 36 months. Again, depending on the size, it could go up to 48 months.
Okay.
Yes.
So 2.5 years onwards, 2024, 26.
30 months to 48 months, we should be
By
able.
early 2027,
yes.
Some of these dams should be completed.
Should be complete.
Which areas are they going to
And
benefit?
then we have also identified another 25 smaller dams of between. The president has given instructions for us to identify another 25, smaller size for the interim, costing us 3 billion shillings and below. And I think that will require a different financing model, GOK and possibly grants. And we are working to see how that one will go.
Okay.
And we will be presenting that list maybe when he has time. The list is ready.
Okay.
So you are asking which
Again,
dams?
the 33. Yeah. Where are they? Paint for us this picture in 2027, what we should be seeing in these areas. Tell us, in this area, you'll have more water. You'll have irrigation that's taking place, and you'll be buying water from the providers for your irrigation. Which areas are these?
Latif, I would have preferred that one. I come when we have finalized the list, because again, it depends on who will pick what, how many will be picked. But we have Pesi Malewa in Nyandarua. We have Radat in Baringo. We have Lawat. We have Muhoyas Dam. We have Kamumu in Muhoyas is in Nyeri. We have the other day when we went with the president, he said he would do Gula Dam in Teto. between Forteto and Mukurweini, Forteto and Mukurweini. Then we have Kamumu in Embu. We have Doshi, we have Nyambana, we have the high grad force in Tharaka, we have Garana, we have, they are everywhere.
So where should this water be going to? For example, when you say those ones in Laikipia and around of Mount Kenya
like now,
regions,
Laikipia, Marewa and Pesi will serve a part of Laikipia. Nyandarua may be possible to serve a bit of Laikipia, but mainly is for Nyandarua, and then Malewa will serve the area of Gigil, I think, in Naivasha. So that's basically in those two counties, Nakuru County and Nyandarua County. Then we have Kahurura in Nanyuki that will serve Laikipia, Nanyuki area. We have a dam in Narok. We have a dam in Narok. We have Dabasa. We have Thwake here.
The same Dabasa.
Yes, it is part of it. Is part.
Okay.
We cannot lose. We still will continue. We can't give up.
Yeah.
We have Thwake, which is going to give water to Machakos and Kitui.
But Thwake is complete. Why you?
No, it's not complete. Thwake is not complete.
So you want to hand over what's already done to a private entity?
No. I'm just, you asked where are these dams?
Yeah,
it's not complete
PPP
because
dams.
it's only the dam that is being constructed. It has the pipeline and irrigation network that will have to be done. The treatment works we are giving to private, to PPP and the pipeline.
So in 2027, basically what we are saying is we should have at least 33 new dams supplying water for domestic consumption and for industrial use in areas and irrigation areas. By 2027.
By 2027. Yes, by 2027. Yes.
By end of 2026.
Of course, this plan is for 2030, all of it, but by 2026, 2027, we should start having some good results from this work. Of course, the Nairobi.
What will happen?
Nairobi, we have the case for the Northern Corrector and the entire system of the Northern Corrector, the Karimenu, the Darugo that is giving me problems, the Roiro 2 that is also giving me problems because of failure. The Roiro 2 is a contractor issue, so we have terminated, but Darugo is community issues, considering that we also are dealing with the Karimenu issues of compensation. But we are in a good conversation with the community, and the progress is very good. In the next 2 months, the Northern Collector and the entire system should release water now to Nairobi area at about a total of an extra 130,000 cubic meters of water per day. It's part of that water that we brought to Githurai the other day with the head of state. So the work is ongoing. Like in this particular trip, the president commissioned my own projects for my ministry, 5 of them. Yesterday,
every day he was just doing a water project.
Like the one we commissioned yesterday at Roiro. Of course, I thought not at Roiro, at Thika.
Yes.
Somewhere between Thika town and Goingworth, somewhere there. Is a project that is going to draw water from Karimenu Dam. Karimenu Dam's capacity is 70,000 cubic meters of water per day. And that project is going to cost us about 4.6 billion shillings because the pipeline will draw water from Karimenu Dam. You see, there was a lot of negative publicity, which is unnecessary, that we are commissioning a dam that was already commissioned by the previous head of state. First and foremost, the projects belong to the Kenyans. When you exit, that project must be continued by the next government.
Right.
So this is a particular phase 2 of that project where the president instructed that we must give, because of the demand of water in Thika town. It's also crazy because the population has exploded. They didn't have enough water. They have only around this time they have about 40,000 cubic meters of water per day, and they need about 60,000. So this particular pipeline will give them a whole 20,000 cubic meters per day. So they will more or less be water sufficient with this completion up to 2040. That's what the MD told me. So this project was commissioned yesterday. It will take exactly 1 year.
for the water to
and
get
the
to the
contractor has agreed to work on it for a period of 5 years. We'll be paying annually, concessionary annually, every year for the next 5 years. Because we have to think of innovative ways of raising,
getting it done,
without actual exchequer on the spot.
Yeah.
Yes.
Which is where I want to come back onto the structure of the PPPs.
Yes.
Being a new thing where we have a private entity that is selling water to the people through the government, how will this work? Just walk us through. So there is Latif and Sons Engineering Company that has been contracted to do a water dam. How do I make my money?
Now, right now, we have put, we advertised for call of expression of interest last 2-3 months ago.
Yeah.
That call of interest was closed on 20th of July. Between now and 20th of August, Latif and Sons or Latif and Company are
Latif
waiting.
and
Latifa are waiting for us to go through your expression documentation and assess you and say, yes, Latif can do 1, 2, 3 that he said, because we had the list of the 33 dams. After 20th, we will come up with an answer and say, yes, you can do 1, 2, or you can do 1. Maybe Lawat Dam or Mohoya Dam. Then we will give you a written request for you to forward your development proposal, where then you can put in all factors required to show us that you'll be able to do it within what time, for how much. We can negotiate at that level and tell you this is what we want you to agree. You put in your design. We have preliminary design to guide you, but you now bring a proper design for the work. By December, we'll close that exercise, then do our evaluation within a month or so. By February, we are awarding. So we are signing those. February, March, we should be. Okay, I'm told up to June, but I don't want to accept June myself. I've told them we must work.
Quarter one,
somehow, so that we can have contracts in quarter one, then they can take off. So I think that is the basically, then when you build this dam, when it is complete, it will be, off-taker will be the water agency of that particular region. If we find the agency in that region doesn't have capacity, we'll work around their capacity so that they can be the off-takers of that water, because there will be no interaction. Latif will not go direct to Mwananchi because we don't want that. That's not possible. We can't allow that. Latif will interact with our agency, and then our agency will off-take at whatever cost you will agree with them. Obviously, there is the regulators that will come in to interface, and then the water service providers will be given water by
the agency.
Indeed, so far we will start giving the waters that are complete, they're ready for that. We shall start doing that, including here in Nairobi. So then the payment will be to the agency. Then the agency will be able now to pay the contractor.
And the contractor will be expected to operate this dam, service the dam, and everything. The duration of the contract.
Jointly, of course, with the agency in a way, because our people will still be there. They must operate, manage, service, because we'll also be giving them the money. Until they recover their investment.
We spoke of a one government approach in all of these things. I can see it in my head how if the ministry under Alice Wahome is operating along the lines of what we've spoken about today, you can see the ripple effects that it would have for health. You can see the ripple effects that it would have for agriculture. You can see how this would help with education. Is there a common understanding amongst yourself and your colleagues that if we are not doing, what we said we will do, what we ought to do, the effect negatively that it would have on others?
I think there is nobody who will have the luxury or time and space to actually not do what they are supposed to do. We have a president who is hands-on. and requiring delivery every day and reports every day. It is, that kind of environment is good for us, and will make sure every other minister delivers. And that requirement and demand is not just on the minister, it's the whole ministry and the team. So we have these teams around ourselves that know what is expected of the ministry, each ministry. So I think there will be time to rectify for anybody, time to sort out yourself, so that my work does not affect my colleagues' work. For example, of course, health will be impacted negatively by lack of water even in health institutions, and some health institutions actually have that particular challenge. Today, it's for me to get those details from my colleague, and then we see how we can support the services there in terms of provision of water. So I just want to say that looking at the way we are working, this particular trip can tell you that there were roads that were being launched. There were one hospital in Narumoro. Then I had 4 water projects plus 1 irrigation project in Tetu, affecting about maybe 6,000 to 8,000 households. There was also 2 housing projects, one in Kirinyaga and another one in Thika. So when you look at all that, the way and if it's a housing project, it is my responsibility to ensure as it come up, of course, with the necessary information from my colleagues, that they also have water. So we are planning in a way holistically together. Yes.
I know we're just coming back onto that borehole issue. Again, about a year ago, there were reports that had come out about the burden of boreholes in cities, that the water table then had become an issue, because finding enough water, because everywhere you went there was a borehole. And this is also because the supply of water does not reach developments. So today, I don't know how many developments that they're up and coming. There must be quite a number. And if there's not enough...
For Nairobi or for wherever?
For Nairobi. Let's just use Nairobi as an example.
Metropolis.
Yeah, the metropolis, right? We know that water is not coming out of pipes, because the piping system right now for a lot of these developments outside doesn't exist. So the only option that they have for provision of water is boreholes. And already being told that the burden is too heavy on the water table. We don't know what it looks like outside of the cities, but then what would be the solution for developments that, as we sit here today, are being assented to, that they're being approved right now? The people who are sitting in the office, somebody is signing and saying, go ahead. And we know, based on what you've said, that no, why should we give approvals when we know that we're not going to be able to provide things like water?
I think it's a catch-22,
isn't it?
Because people can't live without water.
Exactly.
And it is true, the water levels are depleted and they are getting scarce and scarce, because when we go for long periods with drought, then you don't have sufficient recharge. But there is a method called for recharge, which we are planning for Nairobi, meaning you drill the ground and recharge, allow recharge of water back to the water tables. That is going to be done. And therefore, the fear that then it is being done, people are just there waiting for maybe crisis, is not in vain, because we have received those data and we are working on that. We our ground Center for Groundwater, together with the Water Resource Authority, are on it, and they are working on how we can start recharging water in Nairobi. Yes.
As you deal with all these things, then you also have to also deal with some pending work, pending bills, and historical issues in the water sector when it comes to irrigation schemes and the mega projects, the dams. So you have the Badassa Dam. Now you are dealing with Badassa. You're also looking at Thwake, which has been under construction for a long time, but
actually it's going on well. It's at 85%.
And completion of it. There's Aror Kimorer, which has been a story for a long time. How are you handling them? Let's start with Aror and Kimorer Dam.
Aror and Kimareo, we are in conversation. They were stopped. There were political reasons in background that informed maybe the stoppage of the work. In fact, Aro and Kimareo did not take off at all.
Yeah.
But Itare started, and it's at the time they stopped. When the investigations started, they were at 27%. With the assistance of the head of state, the president himself, we have taken up negotiations because these loans were given by the Italian government, some of them, plus financial, the insurances and all that were covered by the government insurance company. We are in discussion with them, and we have basically agreed on a plan. So far, the agreement has reached a situation where we have said they will return about 16 billion shillings, because this was money that was not utilized. Mm-hmm. It was for insurance, for work that didn't take off. So that money, including advance, in total, 16 billion shillings will be reinvested into. We want to start now with Itare. It will be reinvested in Itare, and then we take off. The company is in discussion with my technical teams for evaluation of their financial, their legal, all those status properly, so that when we start, we also don't land into other problems. And I believe that in another maybe 2 months, we will seal a good deal so that we can take off with Itare Dam. Yeah, Itare Dam, because the investment already is 27% of about 30 billion is a lot of money. Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
How about Aror and Kimorer?
Aror and Kimorer, that we haven't yet come up with an agreement. But you see, we in terms of the final agreement, we may not do. Kimorer has some geological issues which we are looking at because of where it is designed. That design has to be reworked on and possibly moved from where it is.
But Waziri, doesn't it bother you that
it does? It has bothered Kenyans, but
so there's a dam that had already been commissioned, and upon review, you realize that actually, where we wanted to put up the dam, there are some geological issues. Not one, but you've actually given us 2 instances: Badasa in Marsabit, and now Kimorer in West Pokot. Doesn't it bother you? I mean, these things were being done by experts in government, and experts in government are coming and reviewing within a very short period of time and saying, no, this is not the right
design flow.
Yes, there is a design flow. Sometimes it happens. Sometimes it happens, and it can be very expensive and costly. I admit that, but
So what are you doing to make sure that this doesn't happen for the 33 dams that we are about to embark on?
The 33, there will be there is a team, consultancy team that is scrutinizing all that and the designs, and we think we will operate. We'll be able to operate above board. And that's what is important. There is no room in this government for shoddy work. There is no room. There is no room. They have consultants there will be consultants who will be paid.
Yeah.
The contractor has a consultant. Okay?
Yes.
The ministry has technical people, engineers who are experts in that area. We have given them very clear messages that there is no room for monkey business completely. You practice that, you have yourself to blame.
Okay.
And you'll be on your own.
Okay.
Yeah.
Somebody has asked us to ask you this very many times. Please ask her to comment on the Koru Soin Dam.
Koru Soin Dam was a bad idea in terms of financial funding model. Because Koru Soin is a 20 billion dam. And it was designed, the financial model was to be funded by the GOK. We don't have any dam at the moment of that amount to be funded by GOK alone. I think it was a rushed dam to draw money quickly from the exchequer for certain people. The project is a good project. I mean, in terms of the project, I think the project was basically used for some people to quickly gather money without proper.
So the idea is viable.
Yes, we are working on it. We are working in terms of the objective.
The people who benefit from it.
Yeah, but you cannot be able to build that dam with the 20 billion shillings from the Kenya exchequer where we are. My budget around GOK per year for irrigation, for example, is only 10 billion. Yeah. For the water and sanitation is another maybe 25 billion. So how do I put in one project
20 billion?
20 billion. So that's why the government component is normally about 10 to 15%. But when you bring it at 100%, then you kill the project.
But if you say it's normally that, then there's an understanding across board that that's what it should be. Why would somebody then come out and say 20 billion shillings for a dam when there is a clear understanding across board that the government will only help with 15 to 25% in this should actually be a PPP?
Not the No, not a PPP. They are funders. They are partners.
Yes.
They are, most of these dams are funded by World Bank, AFD, European Union, IFC.
Yes.
We have a whole list of development partners that give us loans. Some are concessionary loans, some are concessionary and commercial. So when you are designing the financial model to support a project, you have to take into account how much is the GOK component, how much can the government pay, because you don't have the luxury of putting 20 billion in one project. So that was a mistake from the beginning. But we are approaching it from a PPP review and see whether it will be picked up and progressed
was
to another
money
level.
Expended in this?
Yes, 1.5 billion.
1.5 billion shillings was
some
already spent.
Money, yes, it's already spent. Some money went to land compensation, which is not complete, and maybe whatever. The records are not very well supportive.
What are you doing to rectify that? Is there an investigation? Is there accountability for this?
I'm waiting for a report from the National Water Harvesting Authority.
It sounds to me, Waziri, that you have a lot of work to do to correct very many messes in your ministry. If it is not a financial
actually, that
flaw,
was more political
it's
than
a geological flaw. I mean, there are very many flaws that are costly. It's
sometimes we have been
shillings.
talking about state capture and people didn't. This is one of those projects that were politically motivated to assist some people, and I don't want to say beyond that, but it was rushed because there was, it takes time to actually get a partner, a development partner, sometimes between 9 months and 18 months to secure a partner for a project. But I think this was either to secure votes or to tell people there is something we are doing for you and come up with a rushed project without proper financing. And that's all I want to say. And it was highly politically motivated, and the political stakes were higher than maybe even some of my staff.
CT would have asked you this question, so let me not deny
Take
him this
it away
opportunity.
from her.
Yes. So CT would have asked about the Turkana aquifer.
Yes.
All right? That report that came out, we have so much water underground in Turkana, and then it's very expensive to get that water to the people of Turkana. Is there any plan by your ministry to ever look at that Turkana aquifer?
Turkana aquifer, we have... what I would say about the aquifer is that it is true there is an aquifer with quite a lot of water. It is under a program that we call Horn of Africa program. We work with programs. The Horn of Africa is funding data collection, analysis, and all that, so that we know how much water we have, how much we can use, the quality of water, the quality and quantity of water. This aquifer, together with some other aquifer that are cross border, that is between Ethiopia and Somalia and Kenya. There is another big aquifer there. So the counties of Marsabit, Wajir, Madera, Turkana, and Garissa, 5 counties are covered by the Horn of Africa project or program that will deal with the aquifers. By the time we finish the studies, we will have done maybe about 400 boreholes, because we need to dig boreholes, drilling and all that. We will have gotten a very good answer. For Turkana, it could be even faster, because mostly the water is on our side, but the ones between shared boundaries is a bit tricky. But we are working on that. So for now, I cannot tell you that yes, it's ready for use. Yes, yeah. So the ministry has an elaborate program, and it is jointly being done by the county governments and ourselves. Yeah.
In terms of completion, one of the things also that you did mention is that administrations, in terms of projects, should be progressive. If at the end of one administration something has not been done, then it would be the onus of the next administration to take it up and kind of go with it. Are there some of those that you're finishing? I mean, in addition to this, to the projects that are coming up, we've talked about, those that you found midway, nowhere, are those also part of the agenda? You see,
for example, with the other day, we launched Mwache project.
Yes.
From the beginning. But it was a project designed long time. I mean, for years and years, people have been talking about Mwache project. We launched it in April this year, on 6th of April this year. And we will finish it. The Deputy President knew that project from the beginning. And he's been following it. We have Muzima, a project designs. I mean, all these projects and dams, first let me say, they are not projects that we have from the blue come up with. These are projects and dams that people of those particular areas have been demanding and asking, can we have water from dam A, dam B? Can we have water? We have this dam, why can't we not have it done? That is the truth. Of course, Thwake, for example, we found it about 60%. About 67%, now it's at 87%. We have progressed. The Karimeno, the Karimenos and the Darugo areas and the Northern Connector system, and it's an entire system, was also maybe 80-70%. Are we supposed to stop it?
No.
These are government projects. These are the Republic of Kenya people's projects. So we are continuing many, including some of the ones that I launched over during this period. These are irrigation and water projects. It's hard to do them in 5 months or 6 months.
Yes.
They are projects, as I said, a minimum of maybe, if you are lucky, you can do between 12 and 18 months. The smaller ones. The bigger ones, 24 to 48 months, depending on the size. So you will find that as we go all along, of course you can decide then to kill the project and don't give funding. You don't give funding because they are annually funded. They are not funded. When you come up with a project, you don't get your 10 billion in a day. No, it's also paid by certificate. As you know, the certificate, you invest your money, the contractor invests the money, the work is assessed, technical assessment, financial assessment, and then the certificate is passed, Treasury approves, the ministry approves, then you pay. And so the following year, you are proceeding. You can decide then you want to be a nuisance or you just don't like the person who started it. So you kill it. Who are you punishing?
It's a citizen.
It's the citizen.
It's a citizen
so
who will suffer.
The project should not have the face of a person. It should have the face of the people of the Republic of Kenya. Yes.
Earlier this year, when the president was in Galana-Kulalu, he announced that, you know what, our new idea is we go PPP. irrigation, of course, is under your docket. The National Irrigation Authority is under your docket. So I'm assuming that it's the authority that will be looking at who comes into the Galana-Kulalu irrigation scheme to take up the irrigation projects. By June, the president should have received a new PPP framework that will govern that. We had the Director General of PPPs a couple of days after the president announced, and he said, yeah, we're working on. Is there a PPP framework for Galana-Kulalu? What is the plan for actually bringing in the private sector into the Galana-Kulalu to bring us food? When should we start benefiting from food coming out of Galana-Kulalu?
We already have one agreement for Galana-Kulalu, and it is ongoing. I had said that we have 560 acres under maize irrigation. At least it's already under irrigation and it's doing well. Apparently, I think I'm supposed to be visiting back there next week. When we first went there, we went with the president to assess the situation, and so that particular investor is taking 20,000 acres. The first is 10,000, which already has water. The water we have so far under the phase 1 of Garana is possible to do the 10,000 acres, and we are giving that one out. But the same person is going to take 20,000. The balance is about another 300,000 acres. We have 3 very interested investors for farming, commercial farming. What we need to do for them, and that's why Thwake is very key, because some of the water from Thwake Dam will actually go to Garana. We are in the we are around now making a final decision that the water is a lot. We need to take some to Kitui, Machakos, and leave some for irrigation in the area between Kitui, around that area,
Kibwezi,
and then Kibwezi, and then the rest will go to Garana for bulk farming, for commercial farming. Even as we do another dam, maybe a smaller dam later in Galana, because we are trying to look at the cost element so that we are informed from our analysis.
Yeah.
It might be easier to use that water because the dam is going to be complete by February next year. So the framework, if I were to tell you that the framework is that once you agree with the person, then you are able to,
to get it done.
to get it done.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.